Hello, we are Lovejoy.
We're hanging out with Rob from Front Row Live.
Yay!
What's up, guys? Rob here, Front Row Live Entertainment. I'm hanging here at the Novo with Lovejoy, and I'm super excited to be hanging out with you guys. I try to connect with you guys when you guys played at the Moroccan Lounge last year, and from what I heard, that was also another incredible show. So welcome back to LA.
Thank you. Thanks for having us here. Sorry we didn't catch you last time, but yeah.
It's all good. So talk to me about this tour so far. It kicked off earlier this month, and it's been, I mean, if you look outside, I don't know if you guys have looked outside, but it's
crazy
outside. So, you know, what has that vibe been like throughout this entire tour so far?
It's been insane. Even through like the Europe and the UK, we had the fans queuing from the night before. It's insane to actually see that. Like,
yeah, we're so lucky. We just have like the most dedicated and loyal fan base that would come out just to get a front row seat or whatever. But yeah, we're so lucky.
And just in time for the new EP that just dropped. And, you know, this is the third installment from the band, the third gift that you guys have given us so far. And it's so crazy how fresh the band still is, but yet the fan base just continues to grow massively, not just like one or two here and there. It's like insane. How does that impact when you guys go into the studio to write new music, specifically for this EP? Like, how did that impact knowing that, you know, you might not be at small club shows anymore. You might be at bigger arenas or bigger stages.
Well, I think we just sort of like live up to that kind of pressure, and having our fan base build just means that we can write bigger and better songs. That's what we hope to do. But yeah,
I think it's why we cut a lot of the songs as well, is because we understand that there's a standard that we need to hit, and we don't stop until we've written bangers, basically.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get that completely.
like subjective bangers, but yeah.
On this EP, I noticed that you guys also brought in two additional producers for some of the recording process, Dan and Mark. And, you know, aside from that, you guys also still did your own production during this EP. So, you know, why was it so important to have these two different producers on these different tracks and then still be able to like self-produce part of the EP?
Well, I think for this EP, we really wanted our sound to step up like a gear, but we're dumb. We don't know how to do this shit. So I think like reaching out and getting a bit of help from these people that have been in the industry for many years and understand what it takes to make a song sound good, whether it's like messing around with the structure or like the recording techniques or anything like that. I think that all really helped. And we learned a lot from them was it Consequences and Call Me What You Like with Mark and Dan. And then ended up just doing the last four on our own with a mixing engineer. Yeah, and I think it like came together to be our best work. Definitely helped having their input for sure.
Why did you feel that they were the perfect fit for this? Just because you can't just bring anyone because you're a producer, right? Like they have to be able to vibe with the band. So what was it about these two that drew your attention?
I think there was an element of the sort of the synth, and Mark Crew and Dan had worked with like artists who use that kind of synthy sound.
Yeah, definitely.
So there was an element of that involved.
Yeah, they also like the way they get drums to sound. That when we were discussing about like how we wanted it to sound, I think our singer Will, he said, imagine the best version of just recording a drum kit on a phone mic, but like the best quality of that, and how can you get that kind of sound? And Mark like thought for a little bit, and then he figured it out. And I think like the way that we did the miking placements and stuff like that, it really changed like how it all sounded, and it's really cool.
So I feel like you challenged them as well.
Had to make them think outside the box a little bit, but they nailed it. So yeah, it was really cool.
As far as the instrumentation goes, the sonics of this EP, how do you feel that they helped you or got you to step out of your comfort zone? Because I feel like whether it's a third album or a third EP, it's still a challenge because you've already released two incredible EPs. And, you know, at this point, we would hope that you know who you are as a band, right? Like, so how did they help you kind of like figure out that sound and kind of step out of that comfort zone?
I suppose it's the role of the producer to get the best out of the band. And I think that's something that they definitely achieved.
Yeah, we did many takes.
Yeah, it's just about optimizing each instrument and making everything sound the best that it can possibly be. And they opened our eyes to realize that and the potential of, you know, like a certain lick, like a Call Me What You Like.
Yeah, exactly. Just even like instead of recording certain parts on Joe's like personal guitar, using some of the guitars that they had in studio, they had some really like wacky guitars that I've never seen before, but they sounded insane.
Great,
So when you layer that in, like you get this whole different tone that I think we used across Call Me What You Like and Consequences. And then when we worked on the other songs, we did the exact same, like use that knowledge to try out other guitars that we were just in whatever studio we were in, and it came out really cool.
I feel like that's torture because you use some incredible guitars and then you leave the studio wanting to make that purchase.
It's heartbreaking, honestly, and they're quite often thousands, aren't they? So it's like,
I think we did end up going out and getting some new guitars because of that. For sure.
Yeah, even I did, and I just played drums.
As far as Will goes, how do you guys see? Is he the main writer? Do you guys collaborate with the writing process?
Yeah, with the instrumental writing process. Yeah, it's very it's like a collaborative way. But Will is definitely the sole lyricist and wordsmith.
Yeah, it'll bring the lyrics and kind of a basic chord progression and song structure, and from there we change up the chords, change up the structure.
Yeah,
add in the drums, add in the bass, add in the lead. Like quite often, you and Will like put your heads together and come up with the chord progression and the lead and then some vocals and then bring that to us. So it's like slightly more than just a skeleton structure. There you go. Stumbling on my words. And then we then add our parts in, and from that moment, like the song kind of comes to, it's nearly done. And then like with this EP, we just spent like a year just going over and over and over and writing new parts and trying it out. And that's where the ending to Scum came from. It used to just keep repeating, just like a normal pop song. We ended up putting that whole massive breakdown, and I could see it when we first wrote that. I was like, that is gonna be insane in front of thousands of people, and it kind of is.
It's happening
when we play it right.
It's happening. Yeah. As far as like your perspective, when you watch or when you're listening to Will write his lyric, or watching him write his lyrics and listening to him sing them back to you guys, how do you feel that he's evolved on this process, especially with his like metaphors and just like his witty kind of like lyrics that he has? Like, do you guys have any experience of how he kind of evolves in that?
Yeah, I think he, from my perspective, he's definitely evolved and gotten even stronger as a songwriter. There used to be a lot of times where it'd just be me and Will, and I'd be watching him write, and I'd be laser eye staring. But I think we've sort of moved away from that a bit more, and he kind of does solo writing and can take as long as he wants, trying to perfect some of these lyrics and, you know, interesting themes and ideas that are in the songs.
Yeah, I'm just in awe about it because I can barely speak English anyway. So for him to be able to, he'll write a line, and I'm like, I actually don't know any of those words. So he teaches me quite a lot, which is really nice.
What's the flotsam floats?
Yeah.
It's like, I can never get it right.
Is that? But yeah, no, it's really cool.
Maybe he's making stuff up. Who knows?
Just inventing words now.
Sounds right.
But yeah, no, it's really cool.
With this EP, there's six tracks on it. See, now I can't speak English. Now. See, you're rubbing off.
I rub off on people. It's bad.
With these 6 tracks, what would you guys feel like was the biggest challenge? Was there a particular track in the recording process, or just like kind of finalizing or writing a song?
I'd say personally Golden Hour. Like we had to record it like, was it 4 times, something like that? Yeah, it was ridiculous. We just couldn't get it to work, and it was like we knew it was such a fan favorite from what we'd played, and it was like there was a bit of pressure to like get it right for the fans that really wanted it, you know. And so we didn't want to put out the first recording we did of it, because in hindsight it's shit, and it really needed to be like improved.
Probably isn't
recorded. But I think we finally got there. It just turns out that we were trying to record it all to a metronome, and it just turns out it was just easier to completely delete a metronome, do it all freeform, and it has a very different energy when it's not so rigid with like a metronome all the way through it, which I think really adds to it.
Wait, so was this EP created more in like a live kind of atmosphere?
I mean, they all kind of are.
In some aspects, but
the writing side of it anyway.
Yeah, it's just specifically Golden Hour is a bit similar to some of Will's solo acoustic stuff, where it's just him and the guitar. And so when it comes to tracking and recording that, it's probably easier to do it without a metronome or I can't remember the word. Like a plan.
Just like just all of that. Like it was a lot easier. It adds this really nice flowingness to the song as well that you just don't get from good English. You just don't get that from having like such a rigid like beep 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 beep. You know, like That shit works better for the rock songs, but
Yeah.
less for like the chill ones.
What did you guys learn about yourselves during this process? That's a great answer.
Got anything else?
What is that?
What have you learnt?
I
I think, just like some of the elements that we were touching on earlier about how we can get the best out of ourselves as musicians individually and collectively. But there's also the synthesizer. We hadn't had that fifth, a wild card instrument before. So a lot of that was very new to us and figuring that out. And as a band, messing with the Korg and finding nice tones and experimenting once the guitars and everything else had been tracked. We'd just to put the synth on top of it and make it sound, really weird or whatever. But,
I think that's definitely a skill that we've been improving on as well. For the next record as well, I'm sure there'll be synth on it. Like, I have no idea, but will be something we'll put a lot more time into. I think something we just need to learn. It's a whole new instrument in itself,
Absolutely, absolutely. Like you're
state the obvious. Jesus,
you're practically gonna have a new member in the band.
But
well, that's cool that you got introduced to this, like with your music, to the synth. I feel like it allows for more experimentation for future records.
Yeah.
At the same time, like, how do you feel that changes like the vocal dynamics? If you were to speak for Will.
The vocal dynamics, what as in his like performances?
Just because like I feel like with the synth, it gives you more of like a higher type of pitch. So do you find Will having to go a little higher with his vocals, or kind of like change the way that he sings?
Usually, like his melody and all that's already figured out, and then we'll do a synth on top of it. So it's more fitting the synth around the rest of the song. It's how we've done it so far. Maybe that will change later on.
Yeah, but I would say that his falsetto and his range in general has improved. So
drastically.
That probably
really,
does
really good.
marry the synth quite well. But I'd say like the synth and the trumpet usually on the same kind of level. So I guess we're kind of used to that in some way.
It's something we definitely consider whilst writing for sure.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny that you mentioned trumpet, because I was just having a conversation with another artist. Her name is Stacey Ryan, who's like more of like a jazzy type of artist. Cool. And her comfort level of singing is head voice. And to me, I feel like head voice is difficult, but she grew up playing the trumpet. And I was like, well, is your head voice comfortable because you grew up playing the trumpet? Because maybe you might just automatically go to those high notes. Do you guys think that has some kind of tone to it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, there's obviously times where you get like the backing vocals or some of like the lead vocals that are really like going for it. But yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Yeah.
I might be getting my music degree. Who knows? We'll see. So I love that, like I mentioned earlier, like the band is still relatively fresh, but there's so much hype. There's so much growth with it. At the same time, you guys decided to do earlier this year, you did like a moniker kind of release, Anvil Cat. Why did you feel like that was, now was a good time to do that? And like, why did you guys feel like it was something that the band wanted to do? I'm sure you guys are already busy.
Yeah. So, is that in regards to the different?
It's the acoustic.
The acoustic.
Yeah, the acoustic stuff. We always want to revisit certain tracks and give them a new sort of lease of life with how they sound and stripping them back, and especially because some of the songs were written in that way, where it might have just been me and Will in the room playing it on the acoustics, and like that's what the soul of some of those songs are. And we want to give that to the fans so that, like I say, it just gives the song a new life.
One of my favorite things was going and finding some of my favorite bands, their acoustic covers. And a lot of my favorite bands are like metalcore, kind of like heavy bands. So hearing like a stripped back acoustic version of it where the guy's not screaming is really interesting. Obviously very different to Lovejoy, but I always loved that. So I think that was always something we wanted to do as a band, was like give our fans the ability to listen to it in a chill version as well as a slightly more loud version.
Yeah, awesome. Well, congratulations with the success so far, guys.
Thank you.
Excited about this tour, Across the Pond tour, and for the fans out there that can't wait to catch you guys live, what can they look forward to on this tour?
some crazy Mark vocals.
Yo. Yeah, Will chatting shit to me.
Yeah,
No, I'm joking. Yeah,
He can't speak English, but he can sing.
Oh no, that's up for debate. Yeah, no, I think we like just we got some incredible support acts that are playing. The whole show in general is going to be sick. We got lighting now. Like we're oh my god, we might sound like shit, but like it will look cool. So yeah, no, I think it's just going to be fun.
You guys are moving on up. I'm proud. I'm proud. Congratulations, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. You guys be sure to check out Lovejoy. The new EP is out now. They're currently on tour right now. And thanks again for watching here on Front Row Live.
Bye.